prepare to sublimate a mug. Alright, so I have an Etsy order, and this here is the mug that we're going to be making. And of course, in this order here, the person wants personalization. They want the word styling written on it. So I'm going to show you how to sublimate a mug to look like this. Alright, so this is the mug that I'm going to be using. So this here is just a blank mug with nothing. And I am going to go ahead and show you how I'm going to get that done. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and measure this mug to show you guys. So I always try to measure, because when I'm going to work with a picture, I want to make sure that I'm not making it too big or too small. So the measurement of this here is just about 4 point, no, it's not 4.5, it's about 4.2. And so that is the measurement that I'm going to be working with in terms of the length. All right, so I'm going to flip this around and show you in Design Space how I'm going to get this image printed. Okay, so this here is my image in Cricut Design Space. I am using Cricut Design Space for this particular project and most of my mug projects that I do, because I can print from Cricut to get these to get this project done. So the measurements on the cup was 4.2. I wanted to make sure that on this image here, it stays within that parameter. So I'm making this just a tad bit smaller than 4 inches. So it's going to be able to fit on the cup. And I'm doing it about 3 inches wide. And the word styling is about 3 inches wide. I am probably going to make this here just a little bit smaller. Yeah, so I made that just a little bit smaller than 3 inches. Now, one of the things when you're going to sublimate, you have to make sure in order for Cricut to do a print is going to have to be flattened. So I'm going to go ahead and flatten that image, and now it's going to print instead of just cut. And Cricut has also increased the parameters that we can do print and cut with. So I am going to go ahead and just duplicate this image twice, because I don't want to waste my paper, and I can always just print it and save it for a later date. Alright, so this is what I am going to print. I'm going to go ahead and hit make it. You see now Cricut gives you a bigger space to work with, which I'm very happy about. Okay, I'm going to hit continue. And now it comes up here to send to printer. Let's see if I could get that closer for you guys to see a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to hit send to printer. And now I am going to, I do want it on my EcoTank 15,000 because that is my sublimation printer. I'm going to take off the bleed. I'm going to use System Dialog, and then I'm going to hit print. Notice I didn't, you can, in Cricut, you can mirror this image ahead of time, but I like to go through, I just go through the process here. So I just go to Preference, and then I do Presentation, Premium Presentation Matte. And then my options, now here is where I'm going to mirror it. When you're printing mugs or you're doing any kind of sublimation or stuff like that, you have to remember to mirror your image. And so now I'm going to do print. I'm going to wait for that to print, and I'm going to get right back with you guys. Okay, so the image printed, and I'm going to just cut off the two that I need, and I'm just going to put this aside. Now remember I say, even though it's a print and cut file, you really don't need to cut it on Cricut. I just cut this by hand. Remember to cut the registration marks around it. And then I'm just going to cut it just like this. That's how I'm going to cut them. And it is mirrored. It just looks like it's not on your end, but it's mirrored on my end. Alright, so before you start working with the surface, you want to make sure that it is clean. So I have alcohol, and I'm going to just spray the alcohol onto just some regular tissue. And I'm just going to go ahead and clean around the cut. And of course, alcohol dries very quickly. So just let it dry for a minute. What will you need for the next step? So of course you're going to need the paper, and you're going to need heat tape. And I also have an extra piece of sublimation paper, and I'll show you what I do with that. Alright, so I'm going to just trim this just a little bit more. Now I'm left-handed, so this is where this becomes tricky for me, because I always have to make sure that I hold it with my right hand to see which side is going to be the front, because my front is the opposite end. And so I just have it turned, and I'm just going to place the image where I want it. Make sure that it's straight. And then I'm going to tape it down. I tape around the edges up here. And I'm going to tape the bottom. Let me see if I can adjust this to make sure that you are seeing it properly. Okay. I'm going to tape. This is usually just how I tape it up. Others might have a different way, and that's okay. The main thing is make sure that the image is tight and being held down. And I put across here. So it's taped up for the front. Now I'm going to do the back. I know my hands are just all over here, so I'm just going to wipe that again. Let it dry real quick. For my words, I always try to make sure I'm putting it the right way. Don't want to put it upside down, because that's not going to be good. And now I'm just going to place this here on the back. They want it styling on the back. And so that's where I'm going to place that. And then I'm going to tape it. So the main thing is making sure that you are taping this tight and properly. so this image here is pretty much taped. Alright, so I also have an extra piece, and I'll tell you why I use this. In the past, when I didn't use the extra piece of paper, when you cook, if you just cook this mug, when you take off the tape, you will see all these lines and stuff for the tape line. So it kind of like burns it. And if you're not careful, that's going to be on the cups. If you're selling the cup, you don't want that. So what I do, and I find avoided that for me, is I just simply take the paper and I'm going to put this over everything. This doesn't have to be taped up tight. Just enough to just make sure that it stays on. And then I'm going to just clip it close to the edge right here. Because I don't want my cup to be this color. So it's just literally to tape it like this, and this is how it looks. Now my next step that I'm going to do, I'm going to put the mug. I have like another layer of protection, so I'm going to show you that, and then I'm going to take it to the oven. So I have these mug sleeves here that I use, and this helps to hold everything in place. I love using them. This is for the 15-ounce mug, because this is a 15-ounce mug, and I'm literally just going to put it onto the cup in the back right here, and it's going to snap and hold it in place. All right. Then when I go to the oven, I put this in the oven just like this. This is silicone, so it's not going to burn. All right, and I'm going to see you in the next step. All right, so here I use a convection oven. I prefer a convection oven. I know I've heard wonderful reviews about the mug pressing 7. That is cool too. I have one, but I didn't really care for it. And I like that personally I could do more than 1 cups at a time in my oven. All right, so I am going to go ahead. It is set at 400 degrees, turbo. And I'm going to go ahead and just sit the cup inside. And the temperature that I found works for me with this cup here is 13 minutes. And it gets this done. So I'm going to just turn my timer and set it to 13 minutes. And I'll see you in the next step. Okay, so the time for this here is winding down. And I am going to go ahead and take it out. Put on my heat gloves. This is going to be very hot. All right, now I'm going to put it over here. And I'll show you the next steps. Okay, so this here is the cup, and you simply just click it off like that to take this off, and I'll set the other side for it to cool. Now, right here is usually where I would take off one glove, just because I work better like this. And I'll just remove this paper. That's the first one that I have. Now I'm going to go ahead and take off the other ones. I'm not touching this. I'm just literally, it's just my, I'm just touching the tape. This is very hot, so if you do not have a tolerance for heat, please do not try this. Keep your heat gloves on. ink release on that. So that's the front of the mug. This here is the back. Of course, it's showing you the opposite, but that came out really, really well. All right, so I'm gonna let this cool. But as you guys can see, this is how we sublimate on the mug. Okay, so this is what the mug looks like. It came out really well. I don't know if you guys can see that. The color came out really beautiful. All right. Again, thank you guys. Oh, one thing I do want to remind you. I know I saw some videos before on YouTube where people, when the mug comes out the oven, they put it into cool water. Do not do that. Let the mug be completely cool first before you put it into the water. Because if you do that, you run the risk of cracking the mud, of course, from the extreme heat, and then into the cool water right away. So don't do that. Just wait for it to cool down, and then you can rinse it off and do whatever you need to do. All right. Well, thank you so much. And again, thank you for watching my channel. Please don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button. Thank you so much, and you have a good day.